Welcome to the Hawks Talk podcast. All things Blackburn Hawks.
In behind the defence, cuts around, scores! Blackburn Hawks win this game 8 goals to 5.
All the latest news, player interviews and much more.
Shoots, scores!
Hawks Talk.
Hello and welcome along to a brand new episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. It's myself, Graham Hamilton, here with you for the first one of 2022. I hope you all had a great Christmas and a fantastic new year. Let's catch up on the results from December till this point in January before we speak to this episode's guests. The Hawks have played 3 games throughout December. All of those were in the Moral League Conference as our cup journey is over for this season. Starting off December was a trip away over the border against the Solway Sharks, losing that one 8-2 against probably the best team in the league this year, so no shame in that one. Then we had that fantastic game at home against the Solihull Barons, winning that one in overtime, 8-7, with a superb goal from Jacob Lutwyche to win that one. If you haven't seen that goal, it's on our YouTube channel. Just search Hawks TV and don't forget to give that a subscribe. And the final game of 2021 was away at Sheffield against the Scimitars, sadly coming out of that one with a 7-1 defeat. Straight into 2022, we again face the Sheffield Scimitars, but this time at home. Again, they proved to be our bogey team this season, and we lost that one 9-6. After that, we were at home again, this time to local rivals, the Widnes Wild. Another hard-fought, exciting encounter, taking it to overtime, and again, a game-winning goal from Jacob Lutwyche in overtime. Then we were back on the road and hoping for more of the same against the Widnes Wild. Again, a great team performance, and leaving Widnes with a 4-3 win. And finally, our most recent game at home to the Whitley Warriors, a tough, well-drilled team, I've got to say. It felt like a 1-goal game for the majority of it, with the Hawks playing some great hockey, but unfortunately, an empty net goal sealed the 4-2 loss on that one. We are away this weekend to the Whitley Warriors, so hopefully we can get that result back. So at this point of recording, we are sitting at 6th in the Moral League Conference with 14 points, having played 15 games, won 7, 3 of those in overtime and lost 8. We're also racking up the PIMS as well, sitting at top of the league on that stat with 350. We've got some things to mention before we get into the podcast. We have some great theme nights coming up. First of all, on the 26th of February, the Hawks are retiring the club legend Bobby Haig's jersey number, the famous 22. All previous Hawks players are able to attend that game for free. You just need to get in touch with the club via email, hello@blackburnhawks.com. We also have the NHL night at the Nest on March the 13th. The raffle tickets to win one of those one-off Mighty Hawks of Blackburn NHL jerseys are on sale now at each home game. Tickets are priced at £5 per ticket or 5 tickets for £20. The winners will be drawn in the bar after the game on March the 13th. Finally, Owen Hartley, who plays for the under-16s of the Hawks Junior Academy, recently completed 500 laps of the ice at Blackburn, all in the aid of raising money for Durrian House. Owen's granddad has raised over £50,000 in the last 10 years for Durrian House, and this year Owen wanted to be a part of it. 500 laps is close to around 50 miles, and he completed it in 2 sessions. The first 490 laps, which took 5.5 hours, and the last 10 laps was at the recent Hawks home game. He was joined in both sessions by Hawks forward Aaron Davis. The link, if you want to sponsor Owen, is in the description. It's all for a worthy cause, and I've got to say it's a superb achievement. I couldn't have done 5 laps without falling over, so fair play to you on that one, Owen. Right then, let's get into this episode's interviews. First up, we caught him before he headed off on holiday, co-owner of the Hawks, Graham Lomax.
Hawks Talk.
First guest on the Hawks Talk podcast is the co-owner of the Blackburn Hawks, Graham Lomax. Graham, how are you?
I'm very well, pal. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast.
You're more than welcome, mate. You know that anytime.
Now, we're just catching you before you head off on your holidays. Are you looking forward to the break?
I'm due one. Mind you, I was away in November, but it's been a bit hectic few months with hockey, and I'm busy at work and one thing and another. So, I'm looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it.
So we find ourselves just around the halfway mark of your first season as a co-owner of the Hawks. Are you happy with how it's gone so far?
Yeah, again, I talk to Carl regularly. Sometimes it's once a day, sometimes it's 3 or 4 times a day, and we're always taking stock of everything and where we're at. And we spend a lot of time in a car together, driving to games and one thing and another. And we're always chewing the fat about where we're at. And let's be honest, let's put things into perspective. Yes, it's our first full season, really. We lost that little bit of a season with COVID and behind closed doors and everything. And that was 100% success, we felt like. So we've built on that a little bit. This is probably our first full season. Like you said, we're halfway through as a business. And again, we're thriving. We're overwhelmed to where we're at. We've still got a long way to go. But in terms of commerciality and the business, one of the things that we set out to do was get them crowds back in the building. Last few weeks, we've had 700, just short on 800. We're certainly heading in the right direction. Again, with the fans side of things, we're overwhelmed with where they're at, and we set a stall out early doors to make sure the business is productive and it turns a bit of a profit. And you have to turn a profit as a business, otherwise you haven't got a business. So with our business heads on and our business model, we feel it's certainly working. And we're 100% happy where we're at.
What different roles do you and Carl have with running the Hawks? Do you share everything equally, or do you have different responsibilities?
Really, we crossover of both. Really, we share responsibilities, but I think as time goes on, it's like with anything, any new business, you find out about people, you find the strengths, the weaknesses. Carl's business acumen comes into its fore more often than not in terms of in the background, balancing the books, bookkeeping, etc., etc., etc. I'm more hands-on in terms of my business acumen, as well as my hockey acumen as well. So it's like split roles, really. My side of it, we decided quite a few months ago when we got stuck into this that we'd break the business up into certain sections and we'd all take care of certain departments, and that all takes time to settle down, and that takes time for people to find the roles and what works best for them. But what I would say is that as a management team, and I can't stress that enough, that Adi Charnock and Fran Broadhurst are a breath of fresh air for us, because they will push back. It's not a case of me and Carl said this and me and Carl said that, and that's what happens. It's quite the opposite with a great selection of individuals on that management group, and we actually refer to Adi as Switzerland, because he does he applies a very neutral view of things, and he comes back to us with a better perspective of maybe we should do it this way, maybe we should do it that way, and a very, very constructive view of everything. And pretty much same with Fran as well. They both come from high profile backgrounds in terms of the management skills and the skill set that they bring. And we identified that early doors when we asked them both to come on board. And we're a good team. We're a great team, and we can bounce ideas about, and we never rush into anything. We always talk to each other. We always ask opinions about things before we make any business decisions. So so in answer to your question is, Carl does his thing, and we now know where he's at with it. I do my thing, and we know where we're at with that. So long may that continue, and it's a great partnership.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge so far of your tenure?
Biggest challenge. It's a difficult question to answer that, really. I think the biggest challenge is, I would say, defining what your role is and where that line is drawn in the sand. I'm pretty much, as well, that type of person that yes, you can have a laugh and a joke with me, and I'll have a laugh and a joke with you as well. And I'm pretty much quite a humorous guy myself, but there comes a time where we have to realise that this is a business. We're not in it just for the crack, as much as we do like the crack. And sometimes, decisions have to be made. I don't find it challenging, but it's not always easy making decisions and statements and getting things across in the right sort of. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. So when you and Carl took over the club back in the summer of 2020, one thing that I know you were both very passionate about was improving the match night experience as a whole. We've seen the addition of things like the cheerleaders, for example. What else have you got planned for match nights?
At the moment, we're quite happy with a lot at the moment. I think one of the things that we're always looking to improve, and I think one of the things that irritates me a little bit is when I see what the clubs do, and I'd love to replicate what the clubs do, but sometimes I have to just reel us back in and say, look, we've only been doing this for a season. We're doing great. We're doing really, really great, and we can build on what we've achieved. And I think one of the biggest bugbears for me was that the unfortunate thing is people take it the wrong way when you become a little bit critical of the past. And I don't really like harping on about the past, but sometimes you have to bring it up to move forward, if that makes sense. And I think when I look at it and with a critical eye, and I always look at things with a critical eye and look how you can improve things, I think we've improved it tenfold. One of the things that we were, conscious about was creating a match night experience where people would turn up, hopefully half an hour, 15 minutes before the game, be enthralled, be entertained, games going to overtime, leaving after 3 hours, entertained. And I think the feedback that we've got, backs that up a little bit. Again, you don't really want to be coming across as critical, but let's be honest. The product that was before was bland. It had lost its way. I think the club had lost its way.
I'd agree with that.
I think that's a fair comment, and I think that's one of the reasons why we got approached to take the club on, because of a passion, because of a hockey acumen, because of a business acumen. I think we have only just really started, but it's so refreshing that, and I said this the other day on one of my posts, and I try to not post that much, but sometimes your emotions get the better of you. I was buzzing on Sunday night because Sunday night was great for me. Not just the result, but in terms of, obviously, they'd had a rocket up the backsides the last couple of weeks, which, listen, that's business. It's not personal. And we got the result we wanted. We got the reaction that we wanted.
It's a results-based business. It's a fact.
Absolutely. And unfortunate thing, I don't think everybody sees it that way, that, look, we're not this ragtag and bobtail club anymore. We used to be. We're not now. We don't turn up with blue helmets and red helmets and white helmets. We're with uniformity now, and we're a limited company with directors that has to put a balance sheet in and has to pay taxes and things like that. You know what I mean? So we have a right, and with a product that we have to put out there. And the old Hawks, if that's the right thing to say, is a thing of the past, and we crack on and we move forward, and we've got responsibilities to come with that. And sometimes decisions have to be made. They're not done for the betterment of anybody else other than the betterment of Blackburn Hawks. It isn't personal. I don't dislike anybody personally at all. I'm a guy that's passionate. I'm a guy that runs a business, and a guy that, unfortunately, is that guy that sometimes has to make decisions that don't always suit everybody. But that's how any business has to operate, hasn't it?
Of course, yeah. It's like that age-old saying, it's not personal, it's business.
Well, absolutely, that's 100%. But, it's like, I'm quite thick-skinned. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I think you know me as well as anybody. I've been around long enough. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me what anybody says on any social media. So it's about this business, and it's my business, and it's Carl's business, and we will make decisions that are for the betterment of that business. And it's irrelevant what everybody else thinks anywhere else in country.
Great insight there. And in terms of match nights, some of the stuff that I know is going on behind the scenes, and there's lots of things for us all to look forward to. There's a couple of things coming up which I'm very excited about personally, and I can't say what they are right now, and I know you can't either. I appreciate that.
Well, again, like in terms of, we've already promoted a couple of the products. We've got Bobby's, long overdue
Agreed.
retirement. And let's clear that up before we go any further, that one of the first things that me and Carl instrumented when we took this club on was that we have to honour the past. We owe that. We owe that to people like Bob who have served the club. And again, it's unfortunate that they've been overlooked for years and years, but not on our watch. So we're going to honour Bob, and we're looking forward to that. And we'll put on a good night for that. We're going to do the NHL night with the Blackburn Ducks shirts that you've seen, which are absolutely stunning. And we've got the green night pending as well. So lots and lots of ideas to engage with the fans. So yeah, we've plenty to keep us occupied, mate. Don't you worry about that.
Lots of exciting things to look forward to. Currently, Ollie is interim head coach, and personally, I think he's doing a fantastic job. Is he going to be in that role for the remainder of the season, or is there a plan to replace him with a permanent head coach?
No, we've no plans to change where we're at this moment in time. As far as that role goes, I think it would be remiss of us not to talk about it a little bit. And one of the things that we asked Ol to do, he was very reluctant about it. He's very reluctant in terms of, us begging him to do it, which we didn't do, but we had some serious conversations about it. And I think he's grown into the role. I think he absolutely adores the role now. I think he absolutely loves it. And it's always difficult for me because it's your son you're talking about. And I think any parent out there who's got who's got their offspring involved in sport and business, it's difficult. But I can't credit him enough, to be honest with you. In terms of the job that he's doing, he will be doing it. In answer to your question, I'm not avoiding it. He will be in that role for the remainder of the season. It's for us then to take stock of everything that's happened this year, and that's probably our priority when we get to the end of the season, to take stock of everything and look at where we can improve, where we've let ourselves down maybe a little bit, and that's what any business would do anyway. But no, in answer to your question, is I'll still be in charge till the last game of the season. Then we'll take full stock of everything that's gone on, where we're at, and what direction we're going in.
I think he's doing a great job personally, and if you look back, the results kind of speak for themselves, and I think he does deserve some credit.
I think, I think from my perspective, I've always shied away from the topic of father and son, and I don't like nepotism. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't sit comfortably with me. But end of the day, we have to give him a bit of credit because he's come in, he's brought an air of professionalism into it. He studies the game. He's an advocate of the game. He wants the team to play a certain way. I know straight away that he's got the respect of the players. I can see that on practice. I know he's got a spring in his step with everybody that's out there. They're all giving it 110% on practice. And I think that's now coming to the fore in games. And I think one of the things that we strived for was that one of the reasons we brought Ol in was because of his experience, because of his attitude, because of his way he played the game, and really wanted everybody to play the game in his mirrored image, if that makes sense. We don't want to be everybody's friends. We want to be a team that people have feared and people don't like playing against. And who better could we have heading it up than somebody who, was the nastiest piece of work on the ice, but the nicest bloke you could ever wish to meet off it. So
real Jekyll and Hyde, yeah.
Well, it fits and it works for us. So that's the business model that we're going with at the moment. Who knows what the future brings? With a few things in the pipeline, we're touching bases with clubs here, there, and everywhere, and you've just got to keep all your options open and keep them plates spinning.
Now, at the beginning of the season, we touched on it a little bit earlier. It's a brand new business with essentially a brand new squad. Did you and Carl have any goals or expectations at the start of the season of maybe reaching the playoffs?
No, not at all. If I'm being totally blunt, totally honest with you, all we wanted when we remember, and I keep going back to this, it's a business. It's not what it was. It's a business this now. So all we wanted was stability. And I think we've got that in bucket loads. I think we've smashed it out the park. And I am really, really concerned that we don't start getting ahead of ourselves and talking about playoffs. And it's that old adage and cliche, isn't it, that we take one game at a time.
Yeah.
But no, I have to look at this, and so has Carl, purely from a business perspective. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, it's great to be a fan of Blackburn Hawks, and it's great that people are a fan of Blackburn Hawks, but I have to differentiate between the two. So has Carl. It's purely business. And I think the product at the moment is flying. I think hopefully we've dismissed a few ghosts from the past on Sunday night where we struggled to get away win. I thought Sunday night was probably our best performance, maybe away from home, but possibly matched with some home performances. And what games we've had as well, let's be honest, in terms of getting people through the door and bolstering them numbers and getting kids in. we've had 3 games that have gone to overtime, and luckily enough, the magic man's come up trumps for us each time, hasn't he? So, but that's the team effort. It's not down, it's not down to Jacob. It's great that he gets the winner, but in terms of the business, what a better way to sell the game itself than packing the building out and people biting the bloody nails off.
Now, we've had some questions submitted in by Hawks fans. This one is from Kate Jackson. She asks, as Graham now has 2 hockey-mad granddaughters, would Graham ever consider a ladies' team within the club setup that they could aspire to play for?
I'd never say never. One of the things that I'm really happy about and I'm really chuffed about, and so is Carl, is that, not just the ladies' team, but the juniors. We're now actually talking. We're now doing things together. We're making great strides forward. We communicate on a regular basis. We've got 1 or 2 ideas planned, and that's such different from what it was before. That we found ourselves in a situation where the relationship had totally brought down. When we took the Hawks on, the relationship with the juniors had totally brought down. But now it's gone full circle. It's gone 100%, and we can't wait to work with them and then work with us and forge a pathway forward. And in answer to your question is, let's hope there's some girls playing and some ladies playing. And if Layla and Freya decide it's for them, then yeah, I'll back them 100%. You know that.
While we're talking about the academy for a second, Blackburn used to have kind of a production line of players, didn't it? I mean, you've got the likes of Ollie, Chris Arnone and Rick, who came through the academy, to name a few, but there hasn't been many for a long time now.
Yeah, again, you have to choose your words very carefully without getting involved in politics. But once upon a time, I'm going back a long time now, with Ariel, with Nick Screeton, with obviously Chris and Rick that you spoke about, with Ollie, with a real production line going. And I don't really know the ins and outs of why that broke down. I don't know. Ollie was lucky enough to get into the first team at 15. After that, I couldn't really answer your question. And it is a shame. It's a crying shame. But there's the way I look at it is that when you say the Blackburn system's broke down, yes, it has. It's quite clear that it has. And if we can rekindle that, great. But a lot of the juniors from in and around North East Lancashire have migrated to Manchester, and then migrated to Bradford, and now they're coming of age where they're probably 15, 16, and they're quite talented. Then where do we fit in? We fit in that slot between Laidler, and then there's us, and then there's Storm. And well, if we can, forge pathways with these clubs and these junior clubs, and there's no reason why some of these great juniors that are doing well that can, come and play for Hawks in the Morley before they go and play in National League, before they go and play at Storm. So if we can facilitate that, not just at Blackburn, but in the Northwest itself, by being an NHL 1 team and helping people along that path to success.
That kind of leads us on to the next question we had set in, really. It's regarding the link with Storm. The question is, will the link with Storm continue long-term, offering their young players such as Jacob to get additional game time with the Hawks?
I have no reason to believe that it shouldn't, because Ryan Finnerty is, as much as his dour persona sometimes comes across, that isn't a true reflection of him. He's a lovely fella. He's always talking to us, he's talking to me, he's talking to Carl. If there's a situation where we can help people along the way, that's what it's there for, and it works. And long may that continue. I've no reason to believe that relationship should break down anytime soon. Quite the opposite.
Brilliant. And one final question. Since taking over the club, what's been that one moment that's really stuck out for you?
I don't know. That's you've put me on the spot there. That's a difficult one. I think Sunday night was good. Trials and tribulations, monkeys off your back. I know, and I'd reiterated this so many times about we were struggling for away form. Sunday night was up there. If anybody, I don't know if you spoke to anybody that was a game or not. I'm quite normally keep my emotions intact. I think seeing things in hockey rinks that would make you jump out your skin, but I'm quite good at keeping emotions intact. When that final whistle went on Sunday night, I don't think you heard it. I were off like Shearer. My arm were up. I'd gone. I went the length of it. I'd gone. It were great. What a feeling that was. It was. So I think Sunday night. I think I've got to say in terms of the games that we've played, we haven't played that many. You know, with a season and a half under belt or something, haven't we? We haven't played that many, but. You know, there's been the 3 overtime wins, which has been so emotional. And me and Fran and Eddie have been jumping up and down like 12-year-olds in stands. And I think Sunday night was another one. I think the fact that it was away from home, there was a full barn. There were so many Hawks fans there, and I can't thank him enough. There must have been 200 Hawks fans there. It was great, and that for me is that feeling of getting that win. Obviously, I've got my son coaching the team as well, so you've lots and lots of emotions built up in there, and it just all came out in one on Sunday night. I don't usually do that. I'm quite the opposite.
I was going to say, when I'd seen it on Facebook, you post, and knowing you for a long time, you're quite a reserved person when you're at games. You just kind of watch it, don't you, and watch what's going on. But to hear that, I was surprised, to be honest.
I must have done thousands of games, and I've seen so many things, and I'm quite, I do have emotions intact, but it was just one of them relief moments. I think the fact that there was a second half left and the face-off were in our zone, and then there were 0.8 seconds on the face-off. I'm thinking, God, a snipper, just win the draw, drop on it, anything, lie on it. I'm not care. Stick it up your backside. I don't care, and just jump on anything. And, to see Snip win the draw and that final buzzer go, I think just a relief of emotions.
Brilliant. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I hope you have a great vacation, and we'll speak to you very soon.
You will. Before I go, can I just say thank you very, very much for everything that you do. We always appreciate all our volunteers. We love the Hawks Talk podcast. Carry on doing what you're doing. I listened to a rival team's podcast the other day, and it wasn't a patch on yours.
Thank you
honestly,
very much.
I sat there listening to it, and I thought, I'm listening to a cross between Terry Wogan and Alan Partridge here. this is, you know what I mean? They were reading rec team scores out. It was something along the lines of, I don't know, Halton hula hoops, 8, Denton deck chairs, 3. What am I listening to? Anyway, big up to you, Graham. Thank you very, very much. Not just you, but everybody, all the volunteers that help us out at the Hawks. We really, really do appreciate it. And the players. I might not always show it, but we're always grateful to them, lads. They're the ones that make it work.
Most definitely. Extra laps for you lads around the ring.
I'll be drinking strawberry daiquiri somewhere. I won't be caring.
Have a fantastic time, Graham, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Thanks, pal. Speak to you soon, mate. Appreciate it.
Hawks Talk.
Here with me now on the Hawks Talk podcast, we have fan favourite and Hawks alternate captain Lee Pollitt. How are you, Lee?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We also have Mr. Overtime Clutch, Jacob Lutwyche. How are you, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
We'll start off by talking about the most recent game at home to the Whitley Warriors. Tell us about your thoughts on that game, Lee.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I thought the lads put a good effort in. We just couldn't get it done in the end, but they're an organised outfit, Whitley, and even they were short benched a little bit, but they still managed to grind it out and get that. It's a dirty road win, isn't it? But yeah, I think we could have done better in certain areas. It's just Whitley are an hard team to beat in them kind of games.
How was the game for you, Jacob?
Yeah, I think we have to give it to Whitley Bay. I mean, they came and they performed. They're very system-based, so each player knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing all the time. Like you'll see it, they were dumping, but they were always first to the pucks. They were kind of just keeping us in our own zone. I didn't have a great game. I couldn't seem to get anything done. Apart from that, it was a bit disappointing. Coming off the 2-win streak against Widnes. But at least it was a close game. It's proven that as a team we're kind of moving forward.
Before that game, we had the home and away games against the Widnes Wild, who seem to be a bit of a rival for us now. In the home game, you both had standout moments, didn't you? First of all, Lee, tell us about the penalty shot.
Yeah, there's not much to tell, really. I didn't have a plan or anything like that. I just kind of went down and saw how it goes. Just waited for my moment to take a shot. I didn't know what I was going to do, really. So, but yeah, it was my first one. I felt like I was stood out there for about 20 minutes waiting for the ref to blow his whistle, but Yeah, that's the first one I've taken in my senior career, and luckily I'm 1 for 1. So
100%. That's good. That's good.
It's a good stat to have.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if I was taking a penalty shot, I would want to plan where I was going to put it before I set off. So it's interesting to know that you didn't, and you kind of just went with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can go either way with it. I mean, I kind of had it in my head because obviously Harrison used to play for us, and there used to be one move that I'd always kind of take the mick out of him with a little bit, and every time I got it, I'd be on his case, and I thought maybe he might have had it in his head that that's what I was going to try, and I think the penalty shot came from me pulling to that side as well to go to the backhand. But so I kind of had it in my head. Maybe he's thinking I might try that on him, but I didn't really have a plan when I went down. I just thought go in right down the middle, keep my eyes open, and if somewhere opens up to put the putt, then put it there. And then if I get in too close, I'll have to throw it to one side and try and either get it for his 5-hole or put it somewhere. But yeah, it just went down with no plan really, and just see what happened.
Also in that home game, Jacob, you scored the overtime winner, didn't you? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I quite like overtime. I like the 3-on-3. There's a lot more space to skate around in. I'm not the biggest guy on the ice, so the physicality. It's it's quite hard to deal with being my weight. So I mean, one good point is I'm quite good at skating, so 3-on-3 works really well for me. And it was just beat one guy out of the corner from our end. Quick chip to Petter, and then back to me across the blue line, and then just quite a well-placed shot. Yeah, beat Harrison. I think it was low blocker.
Yeah, I think it was. Looking back at it, yeah. That's your second overtime goal now for the Hawks. The first one was against the Solihull Barons. Tell us about that one.
That one meant quite a lot, I think. I think that was the senior goal that I'm most proud of in my career so far. Just watching like all the replies on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everywhere. And I think what made it a bit more special as well is that face-off goal that I scored to even it up. And I just thought, I'm not normally quite full of myself, but I was very proud of myself in that moment.
That face-off goal was superb. I nearly spilt my coffee in shock.
that was funny. I actually laughed as soon as it went in.
Was it Mulcahy on the face-off as well?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I saw his head just fell into his hands.
Oh yeah, it was Phil Mulcahy, wasn't it? From
Mulcahy, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I said to Jared before, I was like, I'm tired. I'm just let's just try and shoot, see what happens. It ends up going in.
What a goal. That goal in overtime, though, that one was special. I remember watching it in what felt like slow motion, and I nearly fell down the steps when I jumped up to celebrate because I just didn't expect that drag and tuck. And the roar from the crowd as well was amazing.
Yeah, it gets quite loud in the Blackburn ice rink. You don't really expect it, but with the amount of fans that we're getting now, it does get really loud, and you can tell that everyone's behind you. There aren't any negative fans. I don't think. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, it's a nice feeling when you know that people are supporting you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're really lucky in Blackburn. We've got a really loyal fan base, and I can imagine it's quite an intimidating place to come and play.
Yeah, well, it's a big ice rink as well, and it's a bit, I don't want to say rough around the edges, but it's unique. So when people come in, especially like when Whitley Bay comes in, coming from their ice rink, which is a bit smaller, it throws people off a little bit, I think.
You can say rough around the edges.
Yeah, they're exactly you'll see it. The puck gets blown down all the time in their end, in the way end. It just gets buried and you can't move it.
I think they've just about sorted that out now, haven't they? Because it was coming right away from the boards and just filling with snow, and wasn't good to play on, especially when you're trying to get a power play going and stuff like that, and the puck's just chopping up in the behind the net. You want to start.
I was going to say it's behind the net, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to gain the zone, especially on power plays. You want to gain the zone by getting to behind the net and then setting up from there. And it's just made it impossible, especially when we're in that end two periods a game, and it does make a difference. So good job they've sorted that out.
Now we find ourselves just past the halfway point of the season, and Lee, you're a player coach as well as an alternate captain. How would you say the season's gone so far?
Yeah, I think we had a bit of a. I mean, we had a few good games at the start, and then it got a bit rough for a patch. But I think we're doing better now. We're definitely improving, and like Ollie said, time and time again, taking it back to basics and getting the lads more tuned in. And I think the lads are gelling, they're gelling better together, and we're finding our feet as a quite a new group, really, from what it was the last time we had a full season, and the mini series, and then it's changed again coming into this season. It does take time to find your feet with each other, and like you look at the teams at the top of the league, Solway and Whitley Bay, the teams have been very similar for God knows how long. There's
definitely
name after name after name on them teams that are there, that have been there for as long as you can remember, and that does make a massive difference. Whereas if you look back 5 years, there's maybe me, All, Rids and Aaron. And that's it. Everyone else is new or been here a year or a couple of years. And it does have an impact on the way that you can perform. And I think we're starting to find our feet a little bit now and carrying a bit of momentum. The games haven't been we've been in close games recently, 2 wins, and you do start to pick up a bit of steam, and hopefully we can carry that on.
Which team have you found the most challenging to play against this season?
It's definitely been Sheffield. I mean, I don't think we've come close to them once. I think the closest one I had with them was at home, and even that wasn't great. And it's just that they're just very well organised. They've obviously got good coaching over there. They turn on to what you're trying to do and rub you out. And yeah, it's they've definitely been our biggest test this year. And I think we've got 1 game against them left, or maybe 2. But yeah, we need to try and steal one of them at least, and right a few wrongs against them.
I'd say they've been a massive bogey team for us this season, and they've always been a really well-drilled outfit. I mean, back to the days of like the Spartans and things like that. Yeah,
definitely. They've got some experience on that team as well. So along with that and the depth and good coaching, and I think they get a bit more ice time than us as well, so that helps. And they're really well drilled, and they work hard as well. They not taken away from that at all. They work really hard, and they make it a struggle. They never have an off shift, 60 minutes, and you've got to match that, or you're going to come unstuck. I mean, the games haven't been kind of like 5-on-5. It's kind of been. It's not like we've not been out of our end. It's been back and forth hockey. It's just that when you're that well drilled, it's these small moments that you create that end up being 1 goal or 2, then 2 goals, 3 goals, and it's just that little bit of difference. And if you stick to the way you play and you churn that out all game, then that's where these results that they're getting come from.
Now, Jacob, for the listeners that don't know, you're on a 2-way contract with the Manchester Storm and the Hawks. Do you want to explain to us what that means?
Yeah, so the priority goes to Manchester, so I'm Manchester's player. The idea behind the 2-way was to give me a year just to build some confidence and develop, especially playing against bigger players, because I spent 2 years in Canada through my college years, and I came straight back. I was 18, and then I went to Manchester Storm. So without any kind of playing time against these bigger, full-grown men. So that was the idea. It was to get me more ice time and a bit more confidence playing against these bigger guys.
What do you think of the standard of the Moral League Conference compared to the Elite League?
I think Be
careful, Jake.
Yeah. Well, obviously the Elite League, it's an import league, so each team's allowed 14 imports. So that it is a massive difference, because you know, with the limited amount of players that we have in England, the chances of each one of them being able to play in the Elite League and, you know, being able to play all over Europe and America, it's you can always find more depth and talent when you increase the import levels. So there's nothing to say that the league that Blackburn playing is bad. It's just it's kind of like the British standard, you know, only having 2 import levels. So I'd say the biggest difference is just the imports and what they bring. Because I mean, like people like me, I played Elite League. Other people like Liam Stenton, he's on a 2-way with is it Solway?
Solway and Glasgow Clan, isn't it?
Yeah, so like the British players who are playing in the Elite League or in the IHL, they're they are available to play. It's just the depth within the teams.
Just going slightly off topic, but kind of touching what you said there about British players in the Elite League. One name springs to mind, Liam Kirk, a former Sheffield Steeler. He's currently injured, but he is playing in the AHL and was drafted by the Arizona Coyotes. And I remember a presenter on NHL Tonight saying how positive it was for the UK, but also one thing he needed to do was increase his size, which is interesting when you take into account what you've said about yourself.
Yeah, I'm guessing Liam Kirk's kind of in the same boat with me, in the fact that we're quite slim, and it's hard to kind of gain weight for us, especially playing so much hockey. So I have some.
Come and live with me for a week, and then you'll put some weight on.
I have some sympathy for him, but I think he's doing really well for himself. I mean, he's been working really hard to gain a bit of weight, which he has, and I think he's kind of pushing the expectations for British players.
Now let's go back to the beginning. We'll start with you, Lee, first of all. How did you get into playing hockey?
Oh, God. I just went ice skating a few times. He brought a Christmas ice rink to around where I lived. And then I went there a couple of times over Christmas. And then, went and then ended up a couple of months later going down to Altrincham, went skating there, and then went to a Phoenix game after that. It was when Phoenix was still in the Elite League. Watched the game of it and just fell in love with it and decided that's what I wanted to do. Quick rugby, quick football, and just went from there.
What about you, Jacob? How did you get into playing?
I was my whole family was quite big into the winter sports, so we started off skiing. We were doing slalom on a dry ski slope, Pendle Hill. I don't know if you've heard the news recently, but about Dave Riding.
No.
Oh, he's a Lancashire-born gold medalist at the World Championships or something like that, and he used to ski at Pendle as well with us. And from there I went into figure skating, and I did that for about 6 years until I was about 10, and then kind of just started. I saw hockey at Blackburn on the other side of the netting, because they used to split the ice up into 2. So I was figure skating on one side and a little hockey beginner session on the other. And my dad just asked me, "Do you want to try it?" And I said yes. And then it just kind of took over from there. I actually started playing ice hockey right-handed, and I didn't switch to left-handed until I was about 14.
What was the reason behind switching your handing over?
My dad was he likes his research, so he kind of wondered what the best hand to play with was, and he found out that you're supposed to have your strongest hand at the top, because it sticks more like a sword than a bat, or something like that. So just during the off season, I just switched.
When you explain it like that, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's like what What way would you broom or sweep?
Yeah.
I'd have my right hand at the top.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know where I'd be if I stayed right-handed. I could be better or worse. I don't know.
Yeah, you see that a lot. You see that a lot in with North American players and I think being right-handed or left-handed is the same all over the world, isn't it? But you see a lot more left-handed players in these proper hockey countries with the strong hand at the top, whereas a lot of people in the UK, I think, automatically pick a stick up. That I went right-handed because the first time I got on the ice at a basic session was how would you pick the stick up? If you weren't looking at the blade, how would you hold it? And that was the way I went. And
yeah, we do that though because we all grow up playing cricket and rounders and stuff in PE in school, and it's a bit different hockey stick, but we just don't really feel the difference or recognize the difference.
Yeah,
but I do everything right-handed, swing a baseball bat, cricket bat, golf, all right-handed.
You mentioned it there, Lee, and it leads us on to our next question. You've both spent time playing over in Canada. We'll start with you again, Lee. How did that come about?
I just got a message one day asking if I wanted to go over and kind of the details of the team, and I'd heard some things about the league and stuff like that, and yeah, they put a nice offer together, and it wasn't going to be too expensive, so spoke to my dad about it, and yeah, I ended up going that way with it, and yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
How about you, Jacob? You mentioned you went to college over there, was it?
Yeah, so I finished my GCSEs at 16, and then spent my college years over there. It'd be high school. It would be college for us. Yeah, it'd be college for us, but they called it high school. So yeah, I went to Ridley College in Ontario, Canada, and that was very fun. I really enjoyed that. I think if you get the chance to go and play abroad, you should.
Yeah.
Is it something that either of you would do again?
I'd like to do it again, maybe in a different country though, just to get a bit of variety. Maybe a European country,
like Sweden, somewhere like that.
Yeah, Sweden, Germany, something like that.
What about you, Lee?
Yeah, I definitely would. I'd definitely give it another go. The year I went was the last year I went. I was playing Junior A, so it's up to 21. So I turned 21 that year, so it was the kind of last opportunity that I had to do it. Tried to stay out there. Went on some pro camps with some FHL teams, Federal League teams, and that didn't work out. So yeah, I came back to Blackburn. But yeah, I would have loved to have done a couple more years out there, and because you benefit so much from the ice time. I mean, we were on the ice pretty much every day of the week. Get the odd rest day and twice a day, and it's just I was living and breathing hockey over there. I didn't have to. I wasn't at school or anything like that. I was past that, and then so everything was just hockey, training in the gym and eating properly, and just on the ice all the time. We had like a Pilates trainer and all that kind of stuff, and it makes a massive difference. So yeah, I definitely would have liked to have done a couple more years at that.
It's interesting you say that because I've got some family in Canada and their kids play and they all go to gymnastics classes. And at first I didn't really understand why. But when you think about it, it's a sport where you need to have good balance and flexibility, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, it's more injury prevention than anything. And if you're not taking care of your body in between being on the ice and running into each other at 25 mile an hour, then injuries can come quite thick and fast. I know I've struggled with back problems and my knees and shoulders and stuff like that, and it makes a massive difference when you're doing stuff like that off the ice, gymnastics or Pilates or even just stretching and yoga. I know some guys do and stuff like that, and it makes a massive difference for probably prolonging your hockey career.
Yeah, you're never going to be able to prevent injuries because it's just injuries in hockey, they go hand in hand. Like, you can't get one without the other. But you can do your best to try and prevent, the worst outcomes.
We have a couple of questions for you now from some of the Hawks fans. This first one is from Owen Hartley, and this question is for both of you. He asks, what's the best advice you can give someone to become a first-team player for the Hawks?
I'd say just work hard, keep your interest in it, and work hard off the ice. We don't get that much ice time. I know, I started playing hockey quite late at 15, 16, and I never didn't have a stick in my hand even when I was at home. So that can make a massive difference in training with a ball and watching hockey as well. That makes a massive difference. Watching a lot of hockey, you learn the game and doing stuff away from the ice, I'd say, because obviously we're not in this country, we don't get as much ice time as we would like, but you can still improve stuff, whether it's your brain or your hands or training in the gym, stuff like that. There's plenty of things you can do that can benefit your game once you get on the ice.
Yeah, I'd say just be working all the time. I mean, you can practice your stick handling at home with a golf ball or a tennis ball and stuff like that. The skating's a bit harder to practice, with limited amount of ice time. But if you can get your skating good, then I think that definitely sets you differently from the other players. If you're the best at skating, then you can skate rings around everyone. That's just how it is. Your shot, practice your shot. You need to have a decent enough shot. But I'd say the two biggest ones is skating and how you can control the puck at high speeds and turning and stuff like that.
This next question was sent in via email from Tom. Sorry, there's no second name on it. Do the lads have any particular NHL teams that they follow or teams in any other leagues? Now, I know the answer Polly is going to say because we have banter about this all the time. So do you want to go first, Jacob?
In terms of NHL teams, I don't really have a favourite. I mean, I'd probably say Toronto because that's where I was closest to when I was in Canada. But I don't discriminate. I like all of the games. I watch them all, watch all the highlights. Each team's a bit different, and I like their differences. I don't like following just one. In terms of like different teams in England, obviously I follow Manchester, Blackburn, all the different teams in those leagues, and also Leeds Knights as well, because I've played a few games for them.
What about you, Lee?
Yeah, I'm a big Caps fan. You know that. Washington Capitals has been, I think, since I started playing. I think it was, just watching Ovechkin got me into liking the Caps. And then, I've been a big Caps fan ever since. Got to watch them live take the Stanley Cup. So
nice.
That's one off the list.
Play a bit like Ovechkin as well.
Well, I do.
Yeah, a little bit.
What a compliment. He's just nearly fallen off his chair.
I don't score anywhere near as many goals.
I'm a big Penguins fan, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. I think my dad was as well when he started.
Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, that's the same reason for my dad.
He's superb. You can't get a better player than that. And the final question from the Hawks fans, this one is from Sophie Thomas. What's the hardest part about being a hockey player? That's a good one.
Paul?
Oh, God. I'll have to think on that one.
I think the hardest part of being a hockey player is the amount of dedication that it requires.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, our weekends are fully booked every week until the summer. Like, we don't get any days off. Every morning, well, pretty much every morning, I'm on the ice as well. No lines, having to travel to Fife, Dundee, Glasgow.
Oh, I've done that
Solway,
before, yeah.
Down to Cardiff. Like, there's just, there isn't really any time off with hockey. I think that's probably the hardest part for me anyway.
Go on, Polly.
I don't know, to be honest.
It is a good question, to be fair.
I'd say the opposite, just not being able to get on the ice enough for me. Obviously we're working, and at this level we're not getting paid the big money. We're not a full-time professional outfit, and that's one thing that gets to me is not being on the ice as much as I'd like to be. Like we were talking before, I like to get on the ice on a Friday night, and in Altrincham, just have a skate, because just training once a week's not enough. And I try and get in the gym and stuff away from the rink, but nothing's as valuable as the ice time for working on your game. So yeah, I'd say that.
We were talking about this before we press record. Jacob, how many days a week do you train with the Storm?
It's normally 3 or 4 days, so it'd be Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'll be on Thursday night with Blackburn as well, and then either 2 or 3 games a weekend.
I was going to say that seems to be one of the major differences between the Moral League Conference and the Elite League.
Yeah,
is the amount of ice time you get.
Yeah, it's people's kind of lifestyle differences, isn't it? Like a lot of the people in the league that Blackburn play for, they all have jobs as well. Like hockey isn't their main source of income. It's just something that they love doing, and they like to play it. Whereas in the Elite League, imports come over, and that's their job. Like they are hockey players.
The Hawks are in what is the third tier of British ice hockey, essentially. It's like with football, you've got the Premier League, Championship, League One, etc. So there has to be different levels of professionalism. And with the Elite League, it's kind of drastically different in areas.
Yeah, it is very different. With the Elite League, it's very much a hockey lifestyle. A bit like when me and Paul were in Canada. So the whole lifestyle is just completely different.
And finally, the last question, what are your aims and goals for the remainder of the season?
I'd say, well, for me, is just to try and do as best we can as a team, and look to seed as high as possible going to the playoffs, and hopefully we keep improving up until that point and we can have a good run and see where we get in the playoffs. I'd say personally is just to try and keep putting points up, really, contributing in every way that you can, and yeah.
And what about you, Jacob?
Yeah, I think as a team, we have a goal to try and get into the playoffs, and then once you're in the playoffs, making the most of that. And then personally, I think as this was a year for my development, I'm going to have to make the most of it. Maybe changing the way I play a little bit and get a bit more physical. Yeah, I think it's for me personally, it's just a year to start my, senior professional hockey career.
Brilliant. And that is all we have time for. Thank you guys for coming on the Hawks Talk podcast. We'll have you back on for sure. And best of luck with the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks, Graham.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Hawks Talk.
Great to speak to Graham, Lee and Jacob there. Just a reminder, tickets are now on sale for our next home game on the 6th of February against the Solihull Barons. Some dates as well for your diary. Saturday the 26th of February, we have the Bobby Hague jersey retirement night. And on Sunday the 13th of March, it is NHL jersey night at the Nest. And the Hawks will be wearing those special edition Mighty Hawks of Blackburn jerseys. If you haven't seen what they look like, just head over to our socials. They look fantastic. And raffle tickets to win one of those jerseys are on sale at each home game. Finally, the latest edition of the Hawks Mag is out now and available for free. Just head over to our website, blackburnhawks.com, or check our socials, and I'll also put the link in the description. Thank you all for taking the time to tune into this episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to us on whichever platform you're listening on. We want to get you, the Hawks fans, involved as much as possible. So if there's any guests you'd like us to have on the show, different players, management, whatever, any questions you want us to ask, just get in touch. Send us an email, hawkstalk@blackburnhawks.com. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Hawks Talk.